Hey there, folks. Santee Theaters and the Ghostwriters here. The Mormons and their struggles to exist. Let's investigate.
It's never too late to return to the fold and be forgiven, my child. Heavenly Father's loving embrace awaits us all. You've only to accept it.
I have had a lot of you asking for a video on the Mormon Church, and I have to tell you, it's a huge endeavor. So I'm going to cut it down to their migration to Utah territory. I'm assisted by fellow YouTuber and member of the Mormon Church, Dustin Winegar, who helped me shape this episode. Yeah, I'm Presbyterian, what do I know?
I know nothing!
Their story is one of government-sanctioned persecution, bigotry, and murder, which could easily have wiped out the church had it not been for their undying faith.
I believe that God has a plan for all of us.
In 1838, the Church of the Latter-day Saints was in Illinois when Governor Boggs issued Executive Order 44, authorizing the extermination or evacuation of all Mormons from the state. This led to hundreds being murdered, raped, tortured, and their temple defiled. The response was to create their own city, named Nauvoo, and protect their flock with an army which was called the Mormon Militia. This led to more violence, and eventually their prophet Joseph Smith was killed by a mob. This was quite enough, so by 1846 tens of thousands of Mormons trekked west to find some peace. 1,900 of them died on the excursion, which completed in the Salt Lake Valley of Utah on July 24, 1847. But the United States government was still on their heels and sent an army out to Utah to stop the Latter-day Saints from securing their place on the continent. At the end of the 13-month standoff, the U.S. Army had not exterminated the Mormons, but it did take 70% of their land. President Buchanan was criticized for his bigotry by Congress and the public, and the matter was swept under the rug.
So sue me, what can you do me?
At least now the Church of Latter-day Saints could thrive with their leader, Brigham Young, in place. To be fair, there was violence and injustice on both sides of this whole conflict, so much so that Young had his own personal bodyguards, like Porter Rockwell.
Porter Rockwell? Well, he's one of my favorite figures of the Old West. As Santee said, my name is Dustin Winegar, and I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, I do need to clarify one thing. We are not called the Mormon Church. In fact, back in the days of Porter Rockwell, Joseph Smith, and others, the word Mormon was actually used as a derogatory term against us because of our belief in the Book of Mormon. We are the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Well, yeah, Porter Rockwell, what an amazing fellow he was. He's well known for gunfights that he was in. He was also Joseph Smith's personal bodyguard and later the same to Brigham Young. In fact, he would have been with Joseph Smith the day Joseph Smith was murdered in jail, but Joseph actually told him, "Not this time, Port," before heading there with some others. When it comes to guns, he largely favored the Colt 1860 Army revolver like this one, but he was well known for cutting the barrels down to about here to more easily conceal them in his pockets. He was in a lot of gunfights back east. In fact, he tracked down and killed at least one of the men that were responsible for murdering Joseph Smith, and he continued to be attacked and have to defend himself and defend others out here to the state of Utah, and got in some pretty famous fights out here as well. But guns are not the only things he carried. Like I said, he's an amazing character. Joseph Smith had given him a copy of the Book of Mormon, and Porter Rockwell was so devoted to his beliefs that he was said to have carried that everywhere he went, despite having never learned how to read. Another interesting fact is Joseph had told him that if Porter would always be true to his covenants and never cut his hair, that no bullet or blade would ever be able to pierce him, and that's the reason that Porter Rockwell had such long hair most of his life. He only cut it one time in California later in life because the widow of Joseph Smith's brother came down with a bad case of typhoid fever and lost her hair, so he had it cut off to make a wig for her, and then went into hiding a little bit because of the prophecy from Joseph. He was an amazing character, and I would urge you to learn as much as you can about him and many other famous Mormons of the Old West.
The important takeaway here is that it took many different cultures and religions to help settle this country. For some, the American West was a refuge. To others, it was a new start. It's due to the dedication and determination of those, like the Mormons, that we have In-N-Out Burger west of the Mississippi River. Thanks for that, and make my burger animal style. Yeah, good. Well, folks, that's it for another episode. Thanks for watching. As always, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on down the trail.